You've probably heard this before. Being highly intelligent gives you an edge. You think faster, you see patterns others miss, you understand things on a deeper level, and in many situations, that puts you ahead. But here's the part no one really talks about. That same intelligence comes with a cost, because the mind that sees more also carries more thoughts, more pressure, more complexity, and sometimes that advantage starts feeling like a burden. So today, and we're going to dive deep into the hidden struggles of high IQ people that almost no one sees. One of the biggest struggles is something that looks like a strength on the surface. Overthinking. Your brain doesn't just stop at one idea, it explores every possibility, every outcome, every what if. And while that sounds powerful, it often leads to something called analysis paralysis, where you think so much that you stop acting. Even small decisions turn into mental debates. And the worst part, you're aware of it, but your brain keeps going anyway. Another struggle is something people rarely expect: social and emotional disconnect. Not because high IQ individuals don't care, but because they often think differently from the people around them. Conversations that feel normal to others can feel shallow, predictable, repetitive, and over time, this creates a quiet sense of isolation, like you're physically present, but mentally somewhere else, understanding people deeply, but not always feeling understood in return. Then there's perfectionism. When your mind can clearly imagine the best possible outcome, anything less starts to feel like failure. You set extremely high standards for yourself. And sometimes those standards become impossible to meet. So instead of taking action, you delay, you hesitate. Because if it's not perfect, it doesn't feel worth doing. And that slowly turns into a fear of failure, not because you're incapable, but because you expect too much from yourself. Another hidden struggle is something more internal: mental exhaustion. Your brain is constantly active, always analyzing, always questioning, always processing. Even when you're supposed to rest, your mind doesn't fully switch off. And over time, this leads to stress, anxiety, sometimes even burnout, not from doing too much physically, but from thinking too much mentally. Then comes something that feels confusing at first: boredom, but not the normal kind. High IQ individuals often have intense curiosity. They want depth, challenge, stimulation. But when the environment doesn't provide that, everything starts to feel dull, uninteresting, and that boredom can quickly turn into frustration or even a lack of motivation because nothing feels engaging enough. There's also something more subtle but very powerful: overanalyzing social interactions. You replay conversations. You think about how you sounded, what you said, what you should have said instead. Even small interactions can stay in your mind for hours because your brain keeps trying to optimize everything. And while others move on quickly, you're still processing it. Then there's a deeper struggle, one that not everyone talks about. Existential thinking. You don't just live life, you question it. What's the purpose? What really matters? Why do things work the way they do? And while this kind of thinking can lead to deep insight, it can also create a sense of emptiness. Because the more you question everything, the harder it becomes to feel satisfied with simple answers. And then there's something that surprises a lot of people: imposter syndrome. Even with high intelligence, and you sometimes feel like you're not good enough, like you don't deserve your success, or like people will eventually figure you out. Because when you see how much you don't know, it becomes hard to feel confident. And when you put all of this together, you start to see a pattern. Intelligence doesn't just expand your abilities, it expands your awareness. And awareness is a double-edged sword. Because the more you see, the harder it becomes to ignore things. The more you understand, the more you question, and the more you think, the harder it becomes to rest. So here's the truth. Intelligence isn't just an advantage. It comes with its own side effects, hidden ones, the kind people don't notice from the outside. Because while the world sees the results, it rarely sees the internal battle behind them. But once you understand this, something shifts. you stop seeing these struggles as weaknesses and start seeing them for what they really are, the byproducts of a mind that simply operates on a different level. And maybe the real goal isn't to silence that mind, but to learn how to live with it, without letting it take control of you. If this felt a little too relatable, you're not alone. And if you know someone who thinks like this, send them this video.